your job, you cash out everything. And therefore, you never ever build up an amount for your retirement. So we want to definitely close the preservation loopholes and make sure that most of the money saved for retirement is saved for retirement. However, we also recognize that in the system, during some point in anybody's life, they may have need for some withdrawals. So we are looking at limited withdrawals. And Chair, I should add that it really is about what we'll do in the medium term over the next 3 to 5 years to put such a system in place. I think many people are reading this then as immediate withdrawals, and there's a rush about what we do. And because of COVID and other hardship, I think what we've tried to point out is many funds will actually struggle if all their members want to withdraw. You're going to create liquidity problems. You're going to create problems for other members. And yes, we've had some of the discussions because Honorable George has also put out a bill. So it's not that we're not looking at this. We are looking at it, and we will come to Parliament shortly, because we're talking to NADLAC stakeholders to just try and get the design right. And in the medium term, there's what we call the two-pot system. But for the immediate issues, we are still engaging to see what funds can consider and so on. And in the process, I think a review of some of these thresholds, I think, is something that we're looking at, because if your amounts are low by the time you retire, it really is not worth, for example, annuitizing. And though we have a relatively high threshold currently, it may be that we even need to look at all those thresholds. And certainly when it comes to retirement annuities, there's not much scope. So the other objective is to get harmonization. So that's sort of work in progress, not like I can tell you now what proposals we have on the table, because you do need some consensus before we put it. But we remind the parties that in looking at withdrawals or any issue, don't forget the primary objective, which is to save and to preserve. And that's what we want to focus on. Chris, I don't know if you want to add on the small T thing, but I mean, yeah, why don't you come in?
Thanks. Yeah, I think you've spoken about the paid up on RAs. I mean, paid up, so it's someone who just hasn't contributed anymore, that just stopped contributing to their RA. And at the moment, if that amount's below, it was 7,000, we upped it to 15,000, they can just take the cash out again. So I think that, the trick is we're looking at all these proposals to see how we can help in this period with withdrawals. But as Momo mentioned, it really should come with greater preservation in that two-bucket system. And that threshold will be something we will look at. The interest on the deemed tax on the RA when you cease to be a tax resident, we've seen a few commentators already questioning the interest on that. I'm glad to see they're not questioning the principle of it, but we will look obviously and see what the comments are on that interest. In terms of our rationale, it's really about the time value of money. It should have been paid when that person ceased to be a tax resident. And if you don't put interest on it, it'll be a much smaller nominal value than if you have sort of an accounting for the time value of money up until the day it's actually paid much later on. But we will discuss that. The tax-free savings account, that's also our suggestions. We can look at that. I think the one thing we try to do there is to make a really hard deadline. So, you use it or you lose it. And that's it. That was the sort of the crux of that product. And that's that policy. So it makes people actually get a bit nervous about, well, if I don't save by this time, then I can't put in extra next year. So it forces a deadline on that savings decision. If government would say, well, you can catch up and put in more from later years, maybe in the future they say, well, maybe I don't need to do it now because I can catch up a bit later. But maybe there is a case for it with COVID and the loss of incomes later. So we will definitely get that. I think that covers everything.
Okay, I think we've covered all the questions, but maybe just to end off, Chair, I think what Honorable Abrams had asked that Nyanga has answered, what are the big issues? we've tried to put what we consider the big issues, but there may be big issues for others that we haven't seen from their perspective. And hence, I think even today's hearing helps to get taxpayers to understand that these proposals are out and they should comment. The people who obviously know they have to comment are the tax advisory industry, big business, etc., because they, these are material things for them. But obviously, others may not be, who don't read tax laws for fun or for their jobs, would not really be in tune with these processes. And often that's where we also need to reach out just to get comments from all those who may be affected so they understand what we're putting forward. Thank you, Chair. I think we are done on our side now, Chair.
Thanks. Let me check if there are members who want to ask questions or make comments. We still have 15 minutes to go. If not, we'll have to move to the last item, which is 5. Okay, there we are. Before we close, Alan, do we have announcements?
No, Jefferson. Just that tomorrow's meeting, 9 o'clock, SARB and Prudential Authority on the annual report.
Okay. That's it for tomorrow. Honorable members or wishes, and I also like to thank officials from SARS, also officials from National Treasury. I can see, Comrade Momo, you are working on a succession strategy. I see more young people joining Treasury. So there's young blood coming into the picture. More especially young women, my younger. That's good. Also want to thank the SCOF team that are behind us, our support team. Thanks very much. PBO, I saw the director earlier on, Dr. Junkies, and other members who might be, or members of the public who might be in attendance. Thanks very much. Let's adjourn the meeting and we'll meet again tomorrow. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, members.
Sure.
Younger.
Honorable, I'll try to make the video on the camera.
I was about to talk about that now because we don't even know whether you've gone fat or thin.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you next week during public hearings. Yes.
Sure. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work, Yana.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Recording stopped.